Just to continue, and by the way, I have to say, when you said about doing that, doing something different with this interview, you actually gave me a few ideas, including a new section for a magazine, for the magazine, and how to do it. I'm going to show that certain publications, I'm not mentioning names, that go for the high-end audience, and I'm sure you can figure out who they are, that there's a lot more to style and fashion in Lehigh Valley than just having to spend a lot of money. But I'm going to do it differently, and all this I credit to you and saying, okay, let's do something totally different. You've actually given me a lot of ideas on how to do the magazine and everything. But like you were just saying about something totally different with the new CD and stuff.
Yeah.
Come on, you gotta tease people. You gotta just think of it as being an author or writing, like we were talking about movies, leaving people on the perfect cliffhanger.
Oh man, you gotta have to. I'm surprising myself with these songs. Like I don't even know if we're gonna be able to fit all the songs on one CD. Like we may need to cut like one or two and maybe release them as B-sides.
Okay.
What I've noticed is that as I'm writing them, when I'm recording them, you never really know how long the songs are until you actually record them and then look back and see like, oh wow, that was like 5 minutes long. There's like a few.
Oh well, we need to cut this back. It's hitting the In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida length, right?
But there's a few songs on there that are short, but the majority of them are between like 4 or 5 minutes long. But they're just epic. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of bands that pretty much said the same thing with their own music. Where it's like, oh yeah, our songs are epic, but no, I'm serious. These are epic.
Okay, so basically, this is something that people can really look forward to. Honestly, this is something I'm dying. I mean, I've heard the band play. I love it.
I haven't heard us. Like, if you listen to this, you're like, is that the same band? Yeah. It's louder. Cool. It's got a deeper, fuller sound. It's got more musicians than just me and my brother on the recordings now. So it's got a bunch of different influences all on one album.
Okay. Now you mentioned influences. Just out of curiosity, like, with the band being original music, and has there been any, whether local or major recording artists that have like influenced you throughout the course of your career? Local or even like major, like always, all bands always attribute like, hey, Led Zeppelin influenced me or whoever, or if you just pretty much from the start decided, okay, I want to do my own sound and my own thing.
In a way, I guess when I record, the way I record is I usually just I'm practicing, and when I'm just playing a certain riff, that'll just come into my head, like for no reason at all, just something will come into my head, and everything that I do has a little bit of who I listen to in it. You won't just find like, oh, they sound just like this one band. I mean, there's a song where I have like, let's see, like there's a song called Electric Chair. It's got Queens of the Stone Age, Hendrix, I always gotta put Queen in there, Nirvana, and you could put anything in there. Those, my main influences, I guess, that are constant with my entire discography, or whatever you'd like to call it, would be Queen, Nirvana, well now very much Queens of the Stone Age. I had Radiohead there for a while, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden was big, Aerosmith, Hendrix.
So basically like a lot of rock and alternative, what's classified as alternative essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Classic rock alternative. I have some pop music. I listen to some pop music, so I have some pop roots. Like I love Michael Jackson. But
I liked him for Thriller and Bad. After that, he seemed to be getting a little too far out there for me. You know what I mean?
I liked it when he started to get whiter, because for some reason, when he got whiter, his voice got raspier. And I liked the way his voice sounded then.
Yeah. I mean, with me, what always like threw me and made me almost laugh was you had Beat It off the Thriller album, which is against gang violence and everything, right? And all of a sudden comes out with his next album, I'm Bad, and he looks like a gang member. It's like, okay, you which side are you, you know, what made you suddenly change sides here, you know? That just actually, it's like, okay, now there's something interesting, you know, when you actually stop and think about it that way, you know?
Interesting. Like the reaction I had to it is like, okay, Michael Jackson's not bad.
No.
He's not intimidating whatsoever.
No, I'm sorry. It's like you start off with the Jackson 5, you start off with, you know, Thriller and Beat It and stuff, you know, and you're kidding, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm bad. Yeah, people are really going to believe that. Huh? Yes, you will sell millions of albums, but it's because of your name, not...
Our music video is so hilarious to me. It's like, I'm bad, you ain't bad, you ain't nothing. In like a really high voice, like, you ain't nothing.
Actually, I found, with the two of them, just as good was Weird Al's interpretation of it.
Yeah, fat.
Yeah, Fat and Eat It, you know.
Yeah.
And the funny part about it was he actually had Eddie Van Halen to do the guitar in that,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like, so yeah, it's, you know, actually Weird Al, I mean, Michael Jackson sort of at one point was his favorite target,
Yeah.
you know.
He did, my one favorite by Weird Al, he did Smells Like Heaven.
Yeah.
Smells Like Teen Spirit, that was funny.
We're a garage band from Seattle.
Well, they sure beats raising cattle.
Actually, my favorite from him was Amish Paradise.
Gangsta's Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would swear, I've never looked up the credits, but I would swear that's actually Michelle Pfeiffer in that.
Is it?
It looks exactly like her in his video. I never looked up the credits. I'll have to look it up. Just I'm curious if she played the female in that.
I have to look that up. I liked Another One Rides the Bus.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But yeah, Weird Al, I mean, he pioneered comedy at one point. You know,
Music comedy.
yeah, music comedy. And it's like, it seems that nobody really tried to follow in his footsteps though since then.
Well, Tenacious D kind of does that, but not with like, but with like heavy metal / rock.
Yeah.
With like polka and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, what was one, he had a couple song parts to it. It's called Hooked on Polkas or something like that.
He does that on every album. He has like a medley of whatever's popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and I still remember that when both of his parents died, and it's like he still kept doing the music. You know what I mean? It's like almost like he really didn't let it. You know, he really didn't show that. It's like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna let this.
Sometimes something like that can actually fuel your work a lot more. Like something, I found that a lot of the most creative times in my life was when bad things were happening.
Okay.
Because I would try to, I need an outlet away from it, so I would just immerse myself in work. If things are going right, I mean, there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of things I would much rather be doing than working.
Hmm.
But, you know, if I'm depressed or something, I could just pick up a guitar or pick up a pencil and just start writing.
You are a true artist then, because that's the way. If you stop and think about it, through music, through the history of music writing, and you know all forms of art in general, the best works have come from the worst times in people's lives.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
so
fuel.
yeah, and like you said, a lot of people like myself, when I came out with my first book, when I started as a teenager, started writing as a teenager, it's like, okay, I kept everything inside, and that was my outlet for it. So, you know, I think that's the way a lot of people are. We're in society, it's like, you know, especially with guys, even though we're in 2014, you still have to hold the emotions back a lot of times, and then, okay, well, you have to find another outlet for it.
Interesting I found is the fact that you could like, suppose you have problems and you complain about it. Nobody wants to hear that, but if you put it in the song, people suddenly care a lot.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah, if you put it in a song, or like even though it's like almost an extinct art form now, like poetry or something,
Yeah.
if you let it draw it, put it into music, write it down, people will say, oh wow, that's really cool. You know, you post it on Facebook, it was like, okay, who gives a shit? You're just bitching and whining, you know?
Nobody could do that.
Yeah, you know, so but you're right. A lot of times people get the best work. In fact, even though the vocals suck on, I don't know if you saw, I actually posted the raw vocals for a song I want to do. I actually did it walking down the street in Allentown, and the vocals really suck. But it's like I'm walking down the street in Allentown one night, I'm dead tired, and I'm doing this. Of course, you know, it's not going to be good. But it's like one of the ones that I actually want to release is called Writing a Journey. And I wrote it like a couple years after my wife died, and it was like right before I came back, where it's like everything in my life, you know, everything could have gone wrong up to that point did. And it was like, okay, I gave up.
Yeah.
So, and then, but yet in the song, it's like, look, basically the chorus states, look, what we do in every moment, that's what matters, not anything else. So, but yeah, you will laugh at the raw vocals, trust me. I just kind of posted it up because, I'm trying to get somebody to do acoustic or, keyboard for it. And it's like, okay, look, this is what it sounds like.
I've got like a built-in studio, right?
Yeah, no. Well, you also know I have zero money, right?
I'm gonna charge you.
Okay. I'm just letting you know that, I mean, I own a magazine that hasn't like quite hit it yet with the advertising. So, of course I'm perpetually broke and bouncing between the street, But I will say one thing, it's given me a really good series of articles. Now, unfortunately, your other half and your wife isn't here today.
Working.
Hey, gotta pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
I actually want to get her in part of the interview because there's some questions I actually have for her, but she's also like the band manager, correct?
Yeah.
So I mean, and please feel free not to answer this, but you said to ask you anything. Do you think that's actually like brought you two closer together, like working together on kind of like a professional level and a personal? Maybe like you saw a difference, working with her professionally, you see a different side of her versus just okay, well, I went out and did a show, come home, hey, hon, how's it going?
Well, it's kind of hard actually because there are certain boundaries that you kind of have to put on yourselves. Like, it's hard to know the difference when to turn it off and turn it on. Like to turn on business mode or to turn off business mode, because eventually, like if you just eventually you end up demanding too much of each other. Like, yeah, she's the manager, but I'm also the lead singer of the band, and I founded the band, so we don't really. It's like we're telling each other what to do.
Okay.
At the time, and I don't know. There's times where it's put a strain on a relationship, and there's times where it's actually benefited us. So I guess it's hard. It's a really difficult question to answer.
Sorry for asking, but this is also like, for other people in bands out there, whether you're on the local level anywhere, or even like the major level where you only hear certain things, but it's like, okay, you don't hear you rarely hear, even from the major bands, what it's really like and how difficult it can be and how, on both sides of benefiting and hurting.
Well, I can definitely see why there's a reason where they're like, do not mix those things. I can see that there was a time there where I'm like, all right, this is why they don't do that. Because it's difficult. It's because even when you go to a bar and if your wife is your manager, there are so many drunk people there hitting on your manager.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it never bothered me, but at the same time, it's still kind of tough. It is what it is.
Yeah, but you said it also. It's also like at times brought you closer together, though. Also, it's actually helped at times too. Like, I mean, have you learned anything about her? Like, since the point where she actually got involved with the band, have you learned anything about her that you might not have found out? Just being without just having the personal relationship. Because sometimes you do. It's with different situations you learn about the person you're with.
Well, I found out that she's really, really good at pretty much being on the phone and talking. Like, I hate being on the phone. I'd rather do something in person or over texting, but I would just hate the phone.
Yeah, same here. Contact me digitally. Do not call me. Do not call me unless you're a business saying you want to advertise. Contact me digitally. Just do not call me.
I don't like it. It's just so weird because over texting, I can take time to think about what I'm going to say, and in person I can kind of read people, but over the phone I can't really do any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's beside the point. She's extraordinarily good at being on the phone, and there's just situations that I would not be. Like, she can think on her toes on the phone a lot better than I can, and without that I would never get like half the shows I get.
Okay, like I say, it's just one of those where, like I said, I've been married, and it's like sometimes certain situations, I found out things about that I didn't know about my wife through the weirdest situations. It's, so sometimes, it was just something I was curious about. And again, this might help other, other bands that, okay, well, we're in a relationship, and one, the other person wants to get involved. Well, okay, we're not sure about it. So this might also help out other people too. You never know. But actually, I don't want to hold you up. And basically, we're supposed to get severe storms, but it doesn't. It looks like we, at least in certain areas, we might duck them for now. Where everybody got the hurt. I got news for everybody. The hurricane's still in the south. It's off the Atlantic coast, but it's still in the south. So.
During a few moments ago, but.
Yeah, I heard some thunder, but it's like, damn, no lightning. That's depressing. I'm sorry. I lived in the south for 8.5 years. Did not see one tornado. You want to talk about depressing? So. But basically, we're at this probably. This has been definitely totally different for me. All three parts. I hope you had a lot of fun doing it. You've given me a lot of. You give me some ideas, including, like I said, a great idea on how to do a new section magazine. Which, to give you a hint, it's going to be the, shall we say, sexier and more, even from an everyday perspective, where people are going to find out the stylish side of the area from.
Dress it in leather and spandex.
Yeah, only without having to spend a lot of money on the clothes, and without having to go to the expensive restaurants. You can still look good shopping in Walmart or another department store, local, even a thrift store. I've seen people shopping in thrift stores, and they come out with a nice suit, and they and you can hang out at a diner and still be stylish and fashion. You don't always have to go to spend a lot of money for it. It's going to be, hopefully tomorrow, I'll actually be doing the first photo shoot and video. It's going to be interesting the way it's going to be done. It's going to be more of a timeline.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, a couple photos, a little bit of the video, asking questions, more photo. So yeah, it's going to be something different. I try, like I posted on Facebook a few times, follow my lead if you can. I always try to keep changing it up. And you and your wife will actually already have an invite if you'd like to be included in that section after you see it. I want to try and get everybody from people at work, minimum wage jobs, to the music scene, to artists, to everybody. There's so many sides of the area that you really don't see in the media that we try to show. So honestly, Rob, two final questions. Advice to other musicians and to other artists in general, since you are a true artist, not just a musician. What would be advice to whether it's somebody who's new, new local scene, it's just starting off with the open mics on the local scene, been doing it for years, or national, and even the major recording artists, they can always use advice.
This is gonna sound really cliche, but be yourself. That's pretty much the most valuable piece of information or advice that I've ever had. Is just no matter what, along the way, never sell yourself shorter than anything that you want to be, shorter than what you want to be. Because no amount of money is going to make up for dignity, and I lost my train of thought.
Well, let's put it this way. A lot of times, and I'm finding this out through my magazine, when you don't back down and when you stand your ground, whether you're right or eventually proven wrong, I found out one thing. You may not gain the respect and admiration of a lot of people, but you'll gain the respect and admiration of the right people and the people that you want, not, and I'll say this again, I'll say this flat out because I just don't care anymore, not the ass kissers, and and all the people that, oh wow, well look at us, and have this great surface image, but underneath it, it's like there's nothing there. So am I right though? You will gain the admiration and respect by being yourself and by not backing down from the right people, maybe not from everybody, but with my magazine, I know somebody who's has another publication. Oh, we're closing in on 13,000 page likes. Okay, that's great. I said, well, I asked them, I said, okay, how many followers do you have on Twitter? Oh, we're not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. And I just slipped. I'm like, huh? And she's like, and I said, yeah, how many of those people out of that 13,000 actually pay attention to it?
The key is basically just being able to be happy with yourself, being able to please yourself. It doesn't really, much matter what everyone else thinks, because people are gonna hate you and they're gonna love you. It matters if you care about yourself and love yourself. And it's the same thing in music. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. It'll run your music, it'll run your life if you let them do that. And it's much harder to write music when you're constantly thinking about other people in your head, like, are they gonna like this? Are they gonna like this? Don't care. If what you want is them to buy you, that's the only time you're ever gonna truly feel satisfied.
Okay. And final question: and feel free to say, you know what, you suck. You should never do this again. What did you think overall of the interview and the style?
Never do this again. I'm kidding.
Hey, even if you said it sucks, I'll run it. You know, I will run it.
No, I love it. I love this interview. It's most interviews. Like I've had a few interviews where it's just basically been like really bland questions, where like I could have thought of that question in like 2 seconds. The reason I agreed to do this because I knew you wouldn't like just come up with questions that everybody would ask. They're just something that are well thought out, and I like your style.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for your time in all 3 parts. And like I said, I do want to get your wife because she manages, and I'd like to get that aspect of the band and the industry also, because again, it may help other bands out. You never know. Every piece of advice you give to somebody, especially if it's from your own experience, always has the chance for somebody else to say, you know what, I never thought about it that way, let's try it. Or, hey, you know what, this person helped me out. I mean, look, like I said, when we did part 2, it was like, all of a sudden I started coming up with ideas for a magazine on how to do things slightly different, because, and then I just looked at it from the outside in, I'm like, you know what, I'm getting bored with this, with certain ways I'm doing things. Time to change it up. So, but thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. And the rain actually did add a little bit of a nice backdrop to it. So, thank you. And make sure to check out the new CD. Make sure to check out the Phoenix Bridge. They're original band here in Lehigh Valley. They do a lot of shows not in the Lehigh Valley, so make sure to like them on Facebook and check out their music and their videos. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends. I'm saying that professionally.
Thank you.
So.
Kingdom of the Sun, August 5th.